How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So, I saw you guys liked that trash Pokemon run a few weeks back. Why don't we try that again, but this time with FireRed and Leaf Green? So, because of Gen 1 Pokemon being the only available things before the post-game, I'm only going to have access to 68, just one shy of the nice number, of the 151 Pokemon in the Kanto Pokedex, as if you didn't see the last one, I'm only allowed to use Pokemon with a base stat total of 400 or less. So sure, we'll have hard hitters like Graveler and Kadabra again like we did in Crystal, but aside from them, there really isn't much. Beedrill and Butterfree sit at the number 9 and 10 slots tied for that. Best options respectively. The best normal type is Porygon, which costs so much money in the game corner that it's going to take forever to grab. Gloom and Weepinbell are version exclusives, so you can only get one of the decent grass types. Lickitung is locked behind the Safari Zone, Onix is in the Rock Tunnel if you're lucky, Victory Road if you're not, and it just keeps going down from there. I'm going to be shooting to preserve exactly Kadabra, Porygon, Graveler, Gloom, and Poliwhirl and Butterfree for this. This is just going to be, straight up, I'm telling you the team that I want for the league, because if I don't have this team, I'm likely losing. But let's find out if I can make it through. Make sure to like this video, let's aim for 2,000 likes, comment down below what other runs you'd like to see me do, and subscribe to my trio of channels. I do Pokemon challenges here, and try for one a week, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon TCG content on ChaoticMeatball TCG, about 3 or so times a week, and collaborative Pokemon content on Beast Coast Pokemon alongside Aaron Cybertron Zhang, James Beck, and Celio's Network. And I don't run that upload schedule, but there are several videos a week that go up over there as well. I just don't know when, I just make announcements for when they do. Anyway, chilling aside, let's just jump into it. So, before I even make my choice of starter, I name my rival Ma. No, it is not a reference to Madrybread, I just wanted something that rhymes with Cha, and that was the first thing that came to mind. Just a happy coincidence, I suppose. Anyway, my choice of starter here is Bulbasaur. Makes sense, right? Advantage over the first 2 gyms, resists the 3rd gym, and by that point I should have enough encounters to keep me afloat for the rest of the game, assuming nothing terrible happens. Thanks to a critical hit on my rival's Charmander, I'm able to get out of there rather easily, get Oak's Parcel, and start receiving my pre-Brock encounters. Route 1 houses Rattata, and unfortunately it can't evolve, but I grab Pidgey on Route 2 to make up for it. This, fortunately, can evolve into Pidgeotto, thanks to it having less than 400 in the base stat total department. Then I grab Mankey over on Route 22. This is actually a pretty darn good encounter to have. Fighting types are sparse, and Machoke isn't even one of the trade pre-evolutions I'm allowed to use. That's limited to exactly Graveler and Kadabra, so I'm pretty happy about this one. Viridian Forest contains Weedle, which is unfortunate since I really would have liked the Psychic-type confusion that comes with Butterfree, but once Beedrill hits level 20 and gets Twin Needle, this will actually be much more helpful for Misty, so this might be the better encounter to get early. I grind everyone up on level 2 Pidgey and Rattata, seeing as I need to get as much speed EVs as I can possibly get across the team, fighting the one required trainer in Viridian Forest before heading into the fight with Brock. This is a very easy fight. 1 Vine Whip each on Geodude and Onix quickly finishes it, with Bulbasaur learning Sleep Powder. Another reason as to why I wanted it. Having a Sleep Powder Leech Seed setter on these trash teams seems to be the best way to go. It helps restore HP on both the setter and potentially other members of the team as well. Plus, it can be used to give precious turns for setup moves to put our stats on par or a cut above our opponents. With that said though, moving on to Route 3, I grab Spearow, which isn't really my most desired encounter, but I'll take it. It can potentially be useful in grabbing a Farfetch'd and Vermilion, which is one of the higher stat mons I'm allowed to use. Following that up is Zubat and Mount Moon, and yeah, that sucks. That means I have to wait until Rock Tunnel before I can potentially get Geodude. I'd like to have 2 outs to Lieutenant Surge by the time I get to him, and thankfully Diglett's Cave will guarantee one of them, though missing out on Geodude this early for a mon that I'm likely not going to give the time of day is very unfortunate. I also make sure to grab the Dome Fossil here in Mount Moon, and no, it's not for a fossil gag, it's actually because I'm probably going to use it as my Cinnabar Island encounter on the fossils, since they're rather actually high up on the list of Pokemon I'm allowed to use. Route 4 comes up after Mount Moon, where I managed to grab Ekans, which also can evolve under my rule set and doesn't have broken Gen 1 rap mechanics to fall back on, so this is probably not going to see the light of day either. Anyway, rival battle time in Cerulean City, and I'm leading Spearow against Pidgeotto. I'd rather risk this near-useless bird, but it actually puts in good work with Fury Attack. Until it gets crit by Quick Attack and dies. Well, that was quick. No pun intended. You tried your best, bud. Rattata's out second for me to Hyper Fang and KO the Pidgeotto, doing the same to my rival's Rattata to KO, leading to Charmander. It takes a little over half off of the Hyper Fang, but of course, the Ember that lands burns. So I go out into Pidgeotto in the hopes to KO with Gust and Quick Attack, getting pulled down to 1 HP off of a critical Ember, thankfully not burning, and allowing for me to finish it off with a Quick Attack, doing the same to his last Pokemon Abra with 2 of them. Well, that was a bit terrifying, didn't expect to lose a Pokemon that quickly, and I'm trying to leverage as much as I can in terms of the level cap here, since Misty and Surge do not have much wiggle room in between them. I'm trying to finish routes 24 and 25 before I take on Misty, encountering an Abra on Route 24 and fortunately capturing it, leaving just the trainers and a grind up to level 21 before the gym. Bulbasaur and Beedrill should give me plenty enough power here, but before I take that challenge, I figured I'd grab my Route 25 encounter, finding Caterpie and giving me another piece to the final team puzzle. 2 down, 4 to go. With that, it's gym leader time, and pretty quickly, end of gym battle time, as Staryu goes down to a single Razor Leaf as Starmie steps in, but this one takes a little bit longer. So I hit Leech Seed in preparation for Swift to do quite a bit, but that's actually not as much as I expected. I should still conserve Bulbasaur though, so I swap into Pidgeotto, taking a Water Pulse for a ton of damage as Gust barely does anything, though Leech Seed has pulled Starmie down to below half, so I swap into Bulbasaur expecting a Super Potion, but of course I see a critical hit come out of Water Pulse, so I swap into Beedrill here, taking a Swift, then firing off a Twin Needle after the Super Potion that gets Starmie back into the red, doing around a third with Swift before the second Twin Needle takes out the Starfish monstrosity, giving me the Cascade badge. So immediately after this, I remember that I actually didn't talk to Bill, so I go back up there, grab the SS ticket, then make my way south to Vermilion City, and I'm not really interested in getting encounters at this point in time. Nothing I can get from these routes in between are too useful for anything coming up, though I will have some to grab before Surge. I also for some reason released my destroyed Spearow so that I can't trade for that Farfetch'd. Guess that's what happens when you decide a death box is too much work. The SS Sand is full of trainers that I figured I'd clean up with the team, since I have enough experience to spare. I figured I'd try to get a little bit of that extra to ensure a no-death victory against the rival. Everybody gets to level 22 and I'm ready for the fight. So same lead here as the last time for the rival, Pidgeotto, but this time I'm on Kadabra, two-shotting it with Psybeam through Sand Attack to KO and lead into Raticate. This thing can hit way too hard physically, so I'm swapping into Pidgeotto, hitting Gust and Quick Attack while he misses a Hyper Fang, lands the second attempt, but I'm able to snipe the KO with Quick Attack, leading into Kadabra third. Rattata's the choice here for me, but it takes over half from confusion, so I swap into my own Kadabra and start blasting it with Psybeam, KOing with 2 of them after the first confuses and forces his to hit itself. This just leaves Charmeleon, who falls to 2 Psybeams after my Kadabra takes a Metal Claw. Not too bad if I say so myself, and learning Reflect, I will certainly take that. Anything to help block damage with my pitiful stats, as we can see by Rattata. It's already getting power crept, and I'm likely not going to be able to use it much longer. I figured I'd take out Surge's trainers before I grabbed my encounters around the area, which ended up working out, with Beedrill and Mankey carrying me through the 3 in there. With them defeated though, I can go ahead and finish up my climb to the level cap of 24, while also climbing through Route 9 and 10 to get to Rock Tunnel, capturing Geodude and prep for Surge. Thank goodness it was not anything else. I did not want a Cubone, I did not want an Onix, I wanted Geodude. Diglett is my only other target for now, grabbing it from the tunnel that was fortunately not painted on the wall, so we should be set for Surge. He leads off with Voltorb, so I go with Diglett, outspeeding and hitting Magnitude 7 for the KO, doing the same to KO Pikachu with the same magnitude as Raichu comes in last. Hopefully I can roll a high enough magnitude to just one-shot here. but I get a 6 and only do about 70%. But he only goes for double team and quick attack, not even doing half to Diglett, as a second magnitude 6 picks up the KO and the win for me. Alright, didn't even need Geodude in the back pocket, but good to have it nonetheless. So this is a rarity. Normally I complain about the stretch of routes 9, 10, Rock Tunnel, Lavender Town, and Route 8 since it's just a bunch of nothing, but there's actually some stuff to talk about here. First up, Route 10's encounter of Voltorb. Having access to an electric type might prove to be useful, though I'm not sure if I will find a use for it somewhere, but even if it only gets used as a self-destruct button to help finish off an opponent that ends up being rather difficult otherwise, I'll call that a job well done. Of course, we already grabbed the encounter from Rock Tunnel, so not much to say there, though Kadabra does learn Recover, another broken move to add to the collection. I opt not to grab my Route 8 encounter once I emerge on the other side though, which might seem dumb to most seeing as Growlithe is here in FireRed, and the next gym leader is a Grass-type user. And it was dumb, and I have no idea why I didn't grab it. Moving on! No, in all seriousness, I just didn't find it necessary to grab Growlithe unless Pidgeotto suddenly went down, and it's still in the party, so I didn't really care. I like to push off encounters until the last minute since it just means I don't have to worry about trying to optimize my team for every individual fight. I'd rather just rock with a team and not really have to think about it, even if I do get into sticky situations sometimes, but that's probably my trading card game brain saying, let me just power through things, that'll probably work. Celadon City is finally upon us, and I already know our encounter is Porygon. It's just the question of how long it takes to get this damn thing. Well, clearing out the Rocket Hideout sans Giovanni gives me a bit of money. Not enough though, but at least it's working towards the near $200,000 required to get Porygon from just purchasing coins. And sure, I could just soft reset and abuse the RNG for the slots, but that takes too much time and effort. So I'd rather backtrap to grab the Versus Seeker if I end up getting desperate and want it. With all of that hullabaloo out of the way though, it's gym time, and boy howdy is my team just built to decimate this place. Beedrill, Pidgeotto, and Kadabra pretty much just cream the place, even to the point where Pidgeotto with a held Cherry Berry is able to get through Erica damageless, as Victory Bell misses the Stun Spore, so I get a free 2-shot with Wing Attack, Tangle is a 2-shot with Wing Attack because it wastes the turn with Ingrain, and Vileplume just gets 1-shot by a critical, and even if it didn't, I would have had the Stun Spore negated thanks to the Cherry Berry still being on there due to Victory Bell missing. It was just a straight up lose-lose situation for Erica, and that's just a skill issue. Just land Stun Spore, you loser. So of course our next target is Koga, but our level cap increases by a whopping 14 levels, so it's time to get grinding. I basically clear out every available trainer that I've left since I want to be overleveled for Giovanni. After all, Kangaskhan's a crazy Pokemon to attempt to take down when you're using trash mons like myself. And thankfully that ends up working pretty well. I figured I'd even go after the rival in Pokemon Tower beforehand, and let me just say that this guy immediately lost. It was hilarious. Defense Curl, Rollout, one on each of the 5 members of his team, and they are all gone. Graveler is really putting in work, as it should. I can tell, though, that a ton of our Pokemon are starting to get power crept, though, since I'm increasingly relying on Kadabra, Graveler, and Pidgeotto to do the heavy lifting, while all of the unevolved mons like Bulbasaur and Mankey basically stand back until I need them to perform a niche task like taking out a rock type or a bulky normal type. I finally make it back over to Giovanni after all of those trainers, and his first Pokemon go super easily, as Bulbasaur is able to handle the Onix and Rhyhorn with 1 Razor Leaf each to KO, leading to Kangaskhan, who does nearly half with Fake Out. Yeah, nearly half with Gen 3 Fake Out. That is insane. I just make sure to swap out into Graveler in order to use Rollout, hitting 3 in a row after taking a critical Mega Punch and Bite to KO and win the fight. Yeah, there was no making it out of there without Graveler. That Kangaskhan and the stab Mega Punch it has is just putting in too much work, and even if I had grabbed Ghastly from Pokemon Tower, that would have just died to Bite. With the Self Scope in hand, though, I can finish off the Pokemon Tower, accidentally allowing Beedrill to fall to a Golbat's Wing Attack, since I was getting a bit too greedy and anal about the leveling of my team. I didn't want Graveler, Kadabra, and Pidgeotto to level too far beyond the rest of the team, and that cost me. Don't you just love that your obsessiveness with things looking correct and being balanced ends up costing you a decent Pokemon in a Nuzlocke? I love it, and it happens all the goddamn time. I just never learn from it, because I cannot stand when my Pokemon are of different levels like this. Well, that's the only loss I sustain here, though, so after grabbing the Pokeflute, I make sure to train up Butterfree as a replacement, and since I'm training it from level 8 to around the mid-30s, I've got more than enough wiggle room to completely EV train this thing. By taking out Pidgeys and Rattatas on Route 1, as well as Oddishes and Abras on Route 24, I can easily get this Butterfly ready for combat as it's time to take on Koga. I decided to get up to level 40 for this fight, as this allows for level 41 for the rival, 42 for Giovanni, and 43 for Sabrina, seeing as both her and Koga have the same level cap. Kadabra's kind of a nut here though, as Psychic one-shots the entire team after I maxed out the power points with the 3 available power point ups in the game thus far, granting me the 5th badge and I suppose the self-allowance of entering the Sylph Company. Speaking of that, don't you just love hardware failures? I do, because my recording software crashed while recording this, and the Sabrina fight. So I had to do some fancy work with some event flags to get this battle to trigger again. Not that it was very special, just being a straight sweep with Graveler using Defense Curl and Rollout, KOing Pidgeot, Execute, Alakazam even through a miss thanks to it only using Calm Mind and Future Sight, Gyarados, and Charizard hitting Flamethrower for half to win. Giovanni's Ghost is straight after, he's back from the dead to hopefully win, but using the same strategy as the first time I fought him won't do much good. He leads with Nidorino, so I just one-shot with Kadabra's Psychic, doing nearly the same to Nidoqueen as it does around 80% with Body Slam in the red, but a second Psychic does it. Kangaskhan's out third and just keeps wailing on Graveler after I switch into it, to the point where I was just missing rollout after rollout, so I hopped over to Magnitude after hitting 2 rollouts that only connected once in the chain, KOing from the red, but taking half in the process. Last out is Rhyhorn, and thankfully this is an easy one to handle. 2 Magnitudes takes it down, and I win the fight. So, last here is Sabrina, but I cannot figure out for the life of me how to reset the event flags to let me fight her again. I can get rid of her badge, but I can't get the fight to happen again. Thankfully, it was completely uninteresting as Diglett used Earthquake to one-shot literally the entire team after outspeeding. So you gotta love a powerful physical attacker doing powerful physical attacking things. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, it's time for some new encounters. I figured I'd clean up most of Kanto's availability at this point, especially since there's a ton of water types I want in preparation for Blaine. Horsey's housed on Route 12, Krabby's in the water on Route 13, Venonat's on Route 14, Ditto's unfortunately my only encounter on Route 15, Psyduck's the encounter of choice on Route 19 being a 1% with the Super Rod, Tentacruel's a surfing encounter on Route 20, I've got Seal available in the Seafoam Islands, Magikarp's also unfortunately gotta be my Route 21 encounter, Doduo's sitting over in Route 16, Goldeen can be fished up in Fuchsia City, Poliwag's thankfully available in the Safari Zone, this is a final team member, and now that I have enough money, I can grab Porygon from Celadon City. Did you enjoy that mini Professor Oak challenge? I sure did. Last up in this whole series of events is when I got to Cinnabar, where I can revive the Dome Fossil for Kabuto while also capturing Coughing as my encounter in the Pokemon Mansion. I was kind of hoping that the Cinnabar lab was considered a separate location so I could go get both the gift Kabuto and fish up a Shelter, but it's just not meant to be. I thought I'd be able to get it in Pallet Town, but then I remembered that technically Bulbasaur is my encounter from there due to being the starter gift, so that one's off the table for this run. Not a big deal though, I've got plenty of water-type mons in the back ready for Blaine. He leads off with Growlithe, and to no one's surprise, I'm going for Graveler straight away. I want to see if I can just sweep with Rollout. Sure, I can immediately one-shot Growlithe, but going -2 with Intimidate on Arcanine second means that Rollout can't even one-shot, despite super effective, plus double power, plus same type attack bonus, plus L, plus ratio, plus your white. But, topped off with the fact that I miss on the Hyper Potion turn, there's no time to swap out like the present, so I'm just getting out of dodge because Graveler can't take another Fire Blast. So I swap out into Tentacruel, taking a little less than half, as Surf gets a critical and one-shots for the KO. Okay, gotta love how the big rock gremlin can't KO the big dog, but a small tentacle hentai monster is able to do the job in no time flat. Third out is Ponyta, going down immediately with Surf as Rapidash is in last, so I swap into Kabuto to just straight... I can't hold it together, I just did that line. Big rock gremlin, big dog, small tentacle hentai monster. Christ alive. Anyway, third out is Ponyta, like I said, going down immediately to Surf as Rapidash is in last, so I swap into Kabuto to just straight wall it, doing so pretty effectively even through a bounce paralysis to KO after 3 Surfs through a Hyper Potion to win. I am trying my best to keep a straight face, I can't do it. Well, that wasn't too bad, right? And no, f*** you, Bill, I'm not going to your fancy, stupid trio of islands, I'm gonna go kill the mob boss instead. So the game plan for Giovanni is no different from Blaine. Stack the team with water and ground types, and go to town on the assholes team. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and Diglett ends up pretty dead by accident. Whoops. Well, not a problem, it's not like I'm fighting more than exactly one battle before the Elite Four anyway. Giovanni's got a very simple team to take on with any water type that can hit reasonably hard on the special side, and thanks to Poliwhirl, I do, one-shotting Rhyhorn and Dugtrio, but barely missing the one-shot on Nidoqueen, getting hit with an Earthquake for a wee bit over a third. Well, should have just not been lazy and grabbed a Mystic Water from the game corner. Would have made this fight entirely one-shot since after I get through Nidoqueen, both Nidoking and Rhyhorn number 2 just fall to 1 Surf apiece, giving me the last badge and the W. Not too bad at all. Still hate that I lost Diglett, since I probably could have used it more effectively against a last rival fight before the league, but I've got plenty of mons to throw out there and die for no reason, so I don't care. So, it's time for the final rival fight before the league, and I'm bringing in a completely throwaway team for this, all trained up to a level before the level cap, just in case. Voltorb's my lead against his Pidgeot, one-shotting with Thunderbolt as Rhyhorn comes in, uses Takedown on my swap into Psyduck, KOing with Surf next turn. Not too bad so far. Third is Execute, so I swap over to Coughing as it uses Stun Spore, luckily not being paralyzed for the turn as I KO with Sludge. Well shoot, this is going a lot better than expected. Alakazam's out fourth and doesn't really have much to attack me with, so I swap into Ghastly, seeing a Future Sight and KOing next turn with Shadow Ball leading to Gyarados. I'm one turn away from the Future Sight attack landing, so I use Ghastly to take a Hydro Pump, and then the Future Sight attack after landing a Light Shadow Ball after Intimidate, since for some reason Ghost is physical in this generation. Basically so I can get a safe switch into Voltorb and KO with Thunderbolt. Last out is Charizard, and I figure why not. Thunderbolt, critical, gone. Was tempted to use Explosion, but I figured out the super effective same type attack bonus choice was definitely the more correct one. And here we are, rewarded with 1 less death on the counter. As for the Elite Four team, I've somehow kept all 6 members alive that I wanted to from the very beginning. Kadabra, Porygon, Graveler, Gloom, Poliwhirl, and Butterfree, all of which with relatively optimized movesets. Like Kadabra has Shockwave and Calm Mind now for sweeping, along with Psychic for stab and recover in case things get hairy. Porygon is a special machine, having Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Psybeam, and recover. Porygon is a special machine, having Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Psybeam, and recover. And while yeah, I did forget about the Psychic TM, and using it on this digital database of death would have been really nice, but no matter, I'm sure I'll survive. Graveler's nuts with Earthquake, Explosion, and Rollout, just in case I need to fire it off and take out a big threat later on in the run. It'll probably not come up, but we'll see, with Defense Curl to double the power of Rollout. Gloom's just here for grass support, has Sleep Powder, heal itself with Moonlight, get damage for both types with Petal Dance and Acid. What's not to like about it? Poliwhirl's just a generically good specially offensive water type with Surf, Ice Beam, Hypnosis, and Body Slam as a physical move, since Paralysis is neat sometimes, and so are physical moves. And lastly, Butterfree's finally gotten a stab bug type move in Silverwind, having replaced Aerial Ace since I think the former will come up a lot more, such as against the rivals Alakazam and Executor. I'm not really too worried about having to deal with Bruno's fighting types and whatnot, especially because we still have Psybeam. Anyway, leave a guess down below who's gonna fall throughout, or if you don't think anybody's gonna go down during this league, let me know as well. Let's jump in. Lorelei actually goes extremely well. Calm Mind is set up a few times with Kadabra, 3 in fact, before Surf brings Kadabra close to half, as I use Recover before taking 2 more, getting a few more Calm Minds up, then just Shockwaving Dugong and Lapras as Cloyster comes in third. This thing cannot do jack all to me, so I finish off Calm Mind to +6 on the Protect turn as well as a Spikes turn, using Recover on the 3rd and final Protect turn, then KOing on the 4th turn with Shockwave of Cloister Existence, KOing and leaving just Slowbro to die to Shockwave, and Jinx to the same, winning me the first of 5. Bruno's up second, and if you thought this wasn't just pressing Psychic 5 times to win in a row, I don't know what to tell you. Onix dies to any special attack that it doesn't resist, and the fighting types are kinda like Sid Vicious, in the way that Kadabra may be half the man they are, but they have half the brains that Kadabra does. Seriously, look up Sid Vicious half the brain, and watch as a man so intensely tells Kevin Nash and Scott Hall that they're half the man he is, and that he has half the brains that they do, and try not to laugh. It is the funniest bad promo in the history of professional wrestling. Anyway, moving on to Agatha, she's the same case as Bruno. If you got a Psychic type with Psychic, this is a 5-turn game. Down goes Gengar, Golbat, Arbok, Gengar number 2, and Haunter for the win. It's almost like she didn't stand a ghost of a chance. I'm surprised I haven't used that joke on this channel yet, despite being a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Anyway, 2 to go, and I've got a bevelry of held items to boost certain attack types. Thank you, Wild Pokemon and Thief, for being available. So I've got the Never Melt Ice for Porygon, just in type for the Dragon-type user, Lance. Porygon's able to destroy Gyarados with Thunderbolt first, though, leaving the only threat on the team, Aerodactyl. This could get a little hairy if any criticals happen on these 2 attacks from it, because I'm in a 2-shot, but neither Ancient Power gets a critical, so I'm able to KO it with 3 Ice Beams after a full restore, KOing and taking out the Dragonite and both Dragonairs with 1 outsped Ice Beam apiece to win. It's a shame that this fight didn't drag on longer. Alright, I'll stop with the puns. Last fight of the run is against the rival, and while leading Kadabra might be weird, I've got an idea. I figure this thing's gonna probably go for Sand Attack once he sees setup moves, but I'm able to freely get off 2 Calm Minds through 2 Sand Attacks, KOing with the accuracy bypassing Shockwave as the second threat of the match, Gyarados comes into play, after having just seen the move that destroys it in 1 shot. Very smart move there, buddy. Third out is Charizard, and Shockwave barely doesn't KO despite Kadabra having +2 special attack, taking an Aerial Ace that brings it down to 6 HP, but this heal locks Charizard to the point where a few more Shockwaves gets the job done, half the team gone as Alakazam comes out. I'm sacking Kadabra here for a safe switch. Shockwave does well over half, so once it gets KO'd, I swap into Poliwhirl to use Body Slam, KOing and luring out Executor so I can swap into Butterfree, take an extremely weak Giga Drain, and fire off the quad effective Silver Wind. Too bad, it's still a rough 2-shot despite being quad effective, but that's just not that much of a big deal. Egg Bomb does a little over half, but that's fine as the 2-shot goes through, last Pokemon is Rhydon, and Giga Drain puts him in his place, fully healing Butterfree as the match ends and I win the run. Again, not too bad if I do say so myself. This is definitely the best team I could have managed for the stat limit I gave myself, and while sure, Kadabra still busted his all hell through Kanto, I still think this was a pretty decent challenge. However, I think it would be more interesting if I do this in a better balanced game with a little bit more power creep, something like a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl or Black and White. I'm sure those will be fun for the future. But with that said, thank you for watching, make sure to check out some of the other neat content I've made if you're wanting some more of the meatball, and stay safe, stay healthy, I'll see you next time.